Welcome back to another episode of Water from the Roc. I'm one half of your host, Marquis.
I am the other half, Remel, and you can be, I'm sorry.
No. Oh, yeah. You're right. You've been forgetting.
You can be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us with our guests.
And today we have a very special guest for you. If you notice, we've taken the show on the road. This is not our usual digs.
All right.
Lots of candles. Different faces. Very, very special guest here. Free, I will let you go and go down the intro.
We'll keep it simple. As Marquis said, taking the show on the road. We have Christina Julian here.
Christina Julian.
Business owner, Rochester native, but also started in the corporate America, transitioned to working for herself. So we're honored and we appreciate you taking time to be here with us. Thank you.
Well, thank
Christina,
you for coming.
thank you. Glad to have you.
I'm really grateful that
glad to have you. Glad you're having us.
What I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to
Absolutely.
Sense by Design.
You have a great story, and what we do, we like to start off as much as we can. We celebrate people.
Yes.
And we're here celebrating you, and making that jump from corporate America, opening up a beautiful store with over 100 self-poured, candles that we both have participated in. So we're happy to be
your
here.
Little ones has, my little one has.
Yeah.
You've got all sorts of custom design. I've got my custom design I use in studio, stuff like that. So yeah, dope stuff. Christina, welcome.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
I'm all right. I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm a little nervous. But...
Nah, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. It's like
Where's the wine?
bike.
Where's the wine?
Yeah.
We got the wine.
That fixed
just like riding a
everything.
Good deal. So start us from the beginning, Free.
Let's jump right in. Let's see. We have our cue cards here.
We do.
I love it that they're branded and everything.
Hey, you like that? You like that? We've already got our logo ready for our custom fragrance.
Okay.
I'll send you the PDF.
Yes.
So what, just starting from the beginning, you're from Rochester. I'm not from here.
Mm-hmm.
What has that meant to you, just starting off, as a person actually, and it leading to it creating the foundation for you?
Yeah. So I was born in Rochester. I think that when you grow up in Rochester, you kind of take the city for granted. I think that I always just thought it was kind of a small city, kind of boring, lots of snow, terrible weather, no sunshine. That was I kind of took it for granted. And then after, I grew up and I moved away, I realized that Rochester is a really cool place to live. It has a lot going on. And I guess that I had to leave to really appreciate that.
Appreciate it, yeah. Same here. Same here.
Right? Like I really do think that Rochester has a lot to offer. It's a really vibrant city, and it's a really cool place to live. And I'm really grateful that I came back and that I'm here now. And I wanted to open a business here in Rochester. I could have done it in a lot of places, but I wanted to be in Rochester, and I'm really glad that I'm here.
Right, we're glad you're here. Since I've met you, you're so bubbly, so positive. It's hard to be around you and not smile. Right, exactly.
Very vibrant.
Where does that come from? Like, what does that come from? Is it just who you are, or what does that come from?
I mean, I think that everybody. Oh gosh, that's a hard question to answer. Honestly,
Put you on the spot.
I think that a lot of optimism and positivity comes from difficult situations. Like I think that I try to see the bright side of things as almost like a coping mechanism, as a way to be like, you know what, this might be hard or this might be bad, but there are good aspects to it, and I try to see the positive in even difficult situations. And there's you can take that too far, right? Like toxic positivity is also a thing, and I hope I don't ever cross that line. But I do try to bring positive vibes where I go, add value. Like I do think that's what positivity is about, like adding value to whatever situation you're in. And I guess that's how I would answer that, but I'm not sure.
It's definitely a vibe. It's like when I first when you come in, you feel welcome.
Sure.
Like I didn't feel out of place walking in here. I never do. It's like, oh hey, how you doing? Come in. just run through everything and with you and the people that work here as
Thank
well.
you.
So
Yeah.
it's a welcoming vibe.
That's really important to me. I think that
Yeah.
that's one of my primary goals in opening Sense by Design was to create a community space where people felt welcome, where
Yeah.
people wanted to come hang out and they wanted to spend time here. You have a lot of ways that you can spend your money and spend your time. And the fact that people want to come here is like, I'm so grateful for that because
Mhm.
it's not easy to create spaces that people feel welcome and feel invited. But like those were two of my primary goals in opening Sense by Design was to create a space that people felt welcome and
Sure.
safe and included and valued. Like
Mhm.
those are some of my like core values that I thought were really important to bring to this business.
Yeah, it's funny. It takes me back to our initial meeting of each other or what have you. And like the shop has obviously grown tremendously since you initially opened back in 2020, COVID year, by the way. And it was so ironic because I thought that it was like extremely bold to one, open a business in the middle of COVID.
Mhm.
And the funny thing about that is I just opened my studio same
Yeah.
year, that summer.
Mm.
And so like I opened the studio, you're opening here or whatever. And I just happened to stumble upon the shop because again, as an avid candle lover, it's like, dude, I love candles. Like, oh, there's a local shop. Love to support locally. And walking in, seeing like, again, the shelves weren't here. We just had like the shelves and the basic candles that you had initially. And I'm just like, I want to support locally. What you got going on? Great stuff. And since then, we kind of like hit it off. And I think I ended up making my custom fragrance within the first couple weeks
Yeah.
of meeting or whatever. And to your point, that same infectious, bubbly, high energy attitude was just like, damn, this is the good people or whatever. And then to have all of that energy in the midst of COVID, like, we were watching something recently about like the month by month infection and death rate. And I think by August, we were up to like 800,000 people. And you're like, yep, I'm going to open a candle shop. You know what I mean? So like,
I
how
mean,
gangster was that? You know
that
what I
wasn't the
mean? Like,
original plan. I don't want to skip ahead. I don't know if we're going to go in
yeah.
chronological order here, but
No, no.
COVID was not a part of my business opening plan.
Yeah.
Like you can't plan for something
No,
like
you
that. It
cannot.
really was
No.
completely unprecedented. And there was I planned and analyzed the risks of this business for years before I
Sure.
was ready to start doing it.
Yeah.
And COVID is something that I could have never accounted for, ever have planned for.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, no, literally. And I think
Yeah,
it turned the
we
world upside down,
we had
you know?
no
Like,
idea what
Absolutely.
that was going to be.
yeah.
That was super weird. But no, that again to that point, like you were very, very bubbly, and then that turned into like our Women's History Month shoot we talked about a bit and sharing with Freeman off camera. And so it's just been a really good vibe, since and meeting and connected with you. And even when and inquiring, like, hey Christina, we started a podcast. Could you do us a favor, maybe be one of our guests?
Early supporter.
Absolutely.
Early supporter.
Without
We
question. Without
really
question.
appreciate that.
And
Thank you.
we
Yeah,
talked
I
to her about
forgot
this
that.
before you and I even started doing practice episodes last year.
Yeah.
Like, would you be a guest or whatever? Absolutely. Just tell me when. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now we're
Yeah.
finally here of making it
Yeah,
work or whatever. So like
yeah.
dope
Yeah.
stuff.
Community is so important, like every person that walks into the door of Sense by Design, like, like it's like you have the opportunity to make connections, you have the opportunity to build community. Like, again, just like going back to that idea of like adding value wherever you are. Like
Yeah.
if you're doing a podcast, even if you don't have any episodes ever recorded, like if I can help you with that, like why wouldn't I?
Thank you.
Like I don't know.
And that's big for us as well, because that's exactly what we're leaning into with Water from the Roc, is being able to share these stories and build that community and build this catalog of community stories and tell the story. Because as you said, you take Rochester for granted when you leave, and then you come back, it's like, man, damn, this is actually a dope place to live or whatever. And there's so many, yourself, for example, like doing something like this here, small business, locally owned or whatever. Like, I think that's so dope to, highlight or whatever. Like, we're not going to name any of those other, candles that, have similar names of baseball teams, but, yeah, I think it's dope that, if I can put my money over here with you and help that grow or whatever for a good quality product, that's what we're going to do. So
yeah, like now more than ever, like how you spend your money matters.
Absolutely.
And small businesses create community. And again, like back to that idea that community matters, and how you build up your community matters, and being a part of a community and supporting other people in your community.
Sure.
Like that's like how you build strength and resilience.
Absolutely.
dope.
Absolutely. So moving on real quick before we get into where we are now and, the corporate job that you had. You went to Ithaca College,
Mhm.
beautiful campus. I told you I did a virtual tour. I'm like, oh, I have to go
Yeah.
down and check this place out. What, life lessons, what water did you take from, IC?
So I was the first person in my family to go to college. So
Okay.
for
Wow.
me, that was a really big deal.
Wow.
My parents, they college was not optional, right? They expected me to go to college,
Right.
but neither of them had gone. Um, when I went to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life.
You too?
Like right, like
Really?
like when you're 17 and like I was
Yeah.
just excited to get out of the house. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
honestly, like my parents were really strict. I wanted to start my own life. I wanted space. I wanted to make decisions for myself.
Mhm.
And so going to college for me was like that first taste of independence.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that I took out of my college experience. And it was a very expensive taste of independence. Like
Mm.
going to a private school, I had no idea. I had no concept of the value of money at
Yeah.
that time in my
Not at
life.
all.
And
No one
and
does. Who does at 17?
right, right. And I went to a private school that cost
Mhm.
$40,000 a year,
Oof.
which is insane. And
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was going to be years after I graduated college before I was going to make $40,000 a year.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I didn't have that
Ooh, you
understanding
know
of the
what?
world or money.
I'm glad you said that because I call it the microwave generation now. Like they think like my nephew, Christopher, I'm gonna mention you. You get out of college, I'll make 100 grand a year. Like,
Yeah, it don't work like
dude,
that.
what? It
Right.
doesn't work like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I had no idea how much money my parents made. I had no idea like what like a living wage was or like what a
Mhm.
salary
A
was,
salary, a budget, any of those
Right.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And all
yeah.
the other expenses and everything that went into it. Like, I knew like how to create a budget, but like
Mhm.
I didn't know how much rent cost.
Right.
Like it's like
Mhm.
all of those things that I had bits and pieces of the story, but I didn't have a big picture of like how expensive
Right.
college was, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But I knew that I had to go. I applied to a bunch of schools. I got accepted to a bunch of schools. And I ended up going to Ithaca because it was a couple hours away, so it wasn't like
It's
too
too far.
far. Um,
Close enough if you got in trouble, you can get back home type of
yeah,
a
yeah,
deal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was far enough that like my parents weren't just gonna like
You
show up
drop
on
Show
the
up.
in.
weekend
Exactly.
unannounced,
Exactly. Here's a casserole.
Yeah, right, right. Um, but I loved college. I had a great college experience. Ithaca College is an amazing college. It's such a college town. I
Mhm.
made great friends that I'm still friends with. I learned a lot. I studied communication management and design was the name of my major,
Mhm.
Mm.
which is a mouthful that doesn't really mean a lot to most people, I
I was
think.
just gonna ask, what the hell does that
Yeah.
mean?
I thought I was gonna get into like public relations or something like marketing,
Mhm.
like something sexy. Like I was gonna live in New York City and, you know, have high heels
Sex in the City.
and, exactly like Sex in the City kind of vibes. Um, but then I graduated college in 2010.
Mhm.
I was working at Wegmans as a cashier throughout college. So I had a
Which one?
part-time
Which
job.
one? Which location?
I worked in Ithaca and at the Fairport Road location,
Oh,
which is
okay.
like the
I know
tiny
that
little
one.
one in
Yeah.
East
Yeah,
Rochester.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
Yeah,
the
I
old
know that.
retro
Yeah, yeah,
one.
I know exactly
Yeah.
what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I, was trying to get a job, just trying to get a full-time job, applying everywhere. And in 2010, market wasn't in great condition. There was a big housing crisis.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, yeah.
That affected me.
a lot of people were out of work. A lot of people who had a lot of experience were out of work. And
A lot of people are out of work and homes.
yeah, right, right. And as a recent college grad who didn't really have much experience doing anything except for being a cashier at Wegmans, it was a hard time to try to get a job. So I was just applying everywhere I could. Literally, like just sending out applications and hoping that I might hear back from somebody until I got an interview at the bank at JP Morgan. I interviewed for a customer service position in commercial banking and I got that job eventually. So I started at the bank in December of 2010
Mm.
and I worked there for 9 years
That's
until
wow. That's a
I
good.
left to do this.
Right. So while you were there working, were you ever to the point like this is not my purpose?
Yeah, that's a good question. I
Yes.
had like a
Okay,
two-part
like
question
literally
in line
nobody
with
wants
that
to
as
be a
well.
banker when they grow up. Like that's not like on the list of dream jobs, right? But it was
Unless
a
you
good
have a 4-syllable last name.
I
Like,
mean, right? Like I don't even know. Like I don't like if I don't know. Maybe people do dream of being bankers, but I never met anybody who has.
you gotta have a name like Winchesterfield or something. Something like that.
Right, right. But yeah, it was a good job. It paid the bills. I was good at it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm not surprised.
I got promoted. I relocated with the bank a couple times.
Mm.
I was making a career out of it.
Hmm.
And I'm really an achievement-based person. Like I did well in school, I did well on tests, I did well in the SATs. Like I was like kind of just like that was like how I knew how to be.
That's how you
That's what
measured
success to
success.
look
That's how
looked
you
like to
measured
me.
success. Yeah, yeah.
And so I was good at it. So I felt like I was doing the right thing. I felt like I was in the right lane. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. But like I never enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't fulfilling in any way.
Yeah.
So really quick, two-part question.
Okay.
At
Mhm.
what point did you realize that, being in commercial banking was not the thing that you found to be your happiest? So for example, with me in photography, photography for me is the thing that I wake up excited to go do. When I get there, I don't want to leave. And when I leave, I can't wait to get back. Part one of the question. And two, at what point did you figure out planning the design or figuring out whatever your pivot or transition was going to be in becoming Sense by Design?
Yeah. Okay. So I think first of all, I never really considered that like being passionate about my job was really an option. It wasn't ever a goal of mine in the
Mhm.
beginning. Like I, was in a job to make money and
Hmm.
then I was making money so I could enjoy the rest of my life.
Sure.
So I never really considered that like I would find a career or a job that like really made me happy and like excited to wake up every day.
Sure.
Um and in banking, you know, nobody wants to be a banker when they grow up. Like I never imagined that like I would be a banker. It was never a goal of mine.
Mhm.
And I think that I did it for a long time because I was good at it. I got promoted a few times. I relocated with the bank a few
Hmm.
times and um it just seemed like a good career path for me.
Mhm.
Right.
Um, I guess I became really disenchanted with it. It was kind of a slow process, but over the course of the last couple years of my career, there had been a lot of organizational changes at
Mhm.
the bank, and my manager changed like 3 times in the course of 1 year, and I kind of felt like I
It's
lost
crazy.
control of like
Three
where I
times in 1 year.
was.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I kind of lost like like the job that I applied for when I was like interviewing was not the job that I was doing at the
Yeah.
end,
Yeah.
right? Like it was kind of a, like if you still want a job, this is where you're going to do it. This is what you're going to do.
Sure.
And so I did it, and again, you just wake up every day and you do it. You just go and do your job and you don't necessarily think about what you're doing that much sometimes. You,
Right.
you take like, when you're in it, like you don't look at it from a bird's eye view and say
Yeah.
like, this is what my career is
Almost like rinse
looking
and
like
repeat, rinse
now.
and
Yeah,
repeat. Yeah.
exactly. You just get up and go. Um, so yeah, I felt like I kind of lost like autonomy and control of my career, and I was traveling a ton for work. And at the end of my career, I was in government banking,
Mhm.
and so I was based out of Rochester, but my portfolio of clients were in like the North Country, which is basically Canada, like
Mhm.
New York, North Country, um, Albany, and New Jersey.
Watertown, probably.
Mm.
Watertown, yeah. Watertown is close. I mean,
Yeah.
compared to some of the
Yeah.
places
Yeah.
I was
That's true.
going,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time on the road and not like fun travel for work. It was
Hmm.
like driving to Albany 3
Yeah.
times a month
Yeah.
and just a lot of throughway time. And I was never home. And so it was just kind of like a slow process
Yeah.
of, me realizing that like I was really unhappy in my job
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
didn't really want to do this and it wasn't worth it. Um, but yeah, I kind of, you know, eventually got to the point where I was like, this is not what I want to do. Like, what would I prefer? Like,
Hmm.
Sure.
what does
Sure.
my dream life look like?
Hmm.
Um, but in terms of how I got to making candles, I
Yeah.
discovered this concept in Indianapolis. My best friend lives there, and I
Great
was
city, by the
visiting
way.
her. I'm
Mhm.
Great. I
sorry,
said great city, by the way.
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
No,
yeah.
blessed to hear.
Hmm.
So it was her birthday weekend, and she was like, "Do you want to go make candles and drink mimosas on Saturday?"
Who
I was
doesn't?
like, "Yes, yes, I do. Do I want to do this every weekend for the rest of my life?"
Absolutely.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sign me up.
yeah. So I went back a few times over the years, and it was always a really fun experience. And there's nothing like it in Rochester.
Hmm.
And I'd been becoming increasingly unhappy in
Mhm.
my corporate banking job, and I was like, I could do this. There's nothing like it in Rochester. I have no idea how to make candles, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Sure.
There you go.
Sure.
You got to start
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. So it took a few years of planning and like saving my money and getting the courage to quit my job. And I finally left the bank in November of 20 with the intention of opening Sense by Design in the spring of 2020. But then COVID happened in the spring of 2020. So things got pushed back a bit. That was never part of my plan.
Mhm.
And everything worked out the way that it was supposed to. I'm
Absolutely.
sure of that. It was very scary at the time. Like,
Yeah.
I was gonna
I
ask
mean,
that.
everybody, the world was turned upside down. Like, everybody was in a place where they were like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
And I was definitely feeling that because I just left a very, you know, good paying job, like a career that I could have spent the rest of my life at.
Well, and
Mhm.
you're 9 years in at that
Yeah,
point as
right.
well.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna make candles. Like, imagine me telling my dad I'm gonna quit my job to make candles and what his reaction was like,
I
you
think that
know?
was one of the first things I said to you. Like, one of the first questions I asked you because it was something that I went through and starting like us from healthcare to photography.
Mhm.
I asked you like, what did your parents say?
Right. Yeah. Right.
What are your parents saying about
Exactly.
this?
Yeah. Yeah. And candles, right? Like,
Yeah,
like it's like kind of it people don't get
it's
it.
like you're
Not
leaving
everybody
banking to
gets
go
it.
make
Right.
candles.
Literally. Yeah. But people who love candles get it.
For
People who
sure,
love
for
candles and
sure.
burn candles understand that, like,
I'm grateful you did it.
right.
I mean, listen,
Yeah.
We
I
like we
benefit.
both.
Yeah.
It's a win for me.
Right.
Right, I
But
like
like my
candles as
dad,
well.
didn't really get it. Like
Yeah.
he will still like sometimes send me pictures of candles. Like he'll be at like a CVS and send me a picture of a candle and it'll be like $5.99. And it's like
Ooh,
It's not the
it's
yeah.
same
like, yeah,
thing.
like I get that you can get candles for cheaper, but like that's not what my competition is in this world,
No,
right? Like
no. CVS isn't an experience.
exactly.
CVS
Yeah.
doesn't have
Yeah.
2-for-1 mimosas on Sunday.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right, exactly.
Saying.
And so anyway, candles in this world, like I didn't get into this because I was passionate about candles.
Mhm.
Like I do love candles and I am passionate about this now. But I discovered this concept that I thought was so cool and it was a fun experience. And that's one of the reasons that I was really attracted to the idea. So much retail is online now, right? Like
Mhm. Mhm.
I, I have a background in banking and
Mhm.
finance, and I
Mhm.
do understand risk. And in a lot of ways I am very risk averse. And I think that the thing that I was really attracted to with this concept is that it's kind of Amazon proof, if you will,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
You
Mhm.
You
can't
have to
create your
be
own
here.
custom scent online,
You have
You
to be
can't.
here.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but like,
But again, that speaks to the experience
right, yeah,
that
you
this
don't get
is.
to
Yeah.
smell it and see what it smells like, right? Like the technologists have still not invented smell-o-vision.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Smell-o-vision.
right? Until that happens, you got to be in a physical place where you can smell candles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you create your own custom scent and you feel this pride and ownership that it's something you created
Mhm.
and it's the best scent that's ever been made,
Mhm. To you, yes, absolutely.
right? And that's what really drew me to this concept. And that's why I did it.
Dope stuff.
So
Dope stuff.
now it's transitioning to that point. You're in it. Was there any like kind of like, wow, I'm really doing this type moment where people are coming in like, wow, this is my spot. Like I'm really working it. Was there any moment like that?
I think there were a few moments. I
Mhm.
think that uh I still feel that way some days. Like
Yeah.
some days I look around and I'm like, how did I get here? You know? Um, but I think in the beginning it was so shaky. It was such a rough start. Like opening during COVID was crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like so COVID happened in November of 2020. I'm sorry, like March of
March of
2020,
2020.
COVID happened. And then I was like, I can't open a candle bar. Like literally
Not
not an
essential.
essential business. And there's no way I can open this business right now. But through the course of that year, pieces started like going down, things
Mhm.
started getting better. I signed this lease in August of 2020. Because by that time, like, it was summertime, like cases were
Oh,
lower.
you were
It seemed
fully
like,
gambling.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bodies were building up, and you were like, you know what? Let's do it.
Well, it was like either that or I get another job.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing with my life right now? Like if I'm gonna do this, and I had like I'm telling you, I had planned for years. Like I was ready to do this, and so
And you weren't going to knock back on the door of JP Morgan
right,
at
well
that
that was
point.
like my other option, right? Or go to a different bank.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to do that
Right.
though.
No.
Like I could have,
Not
but
after you left 9 years seated over here.
right. I was ready I was really invested in this. Like I was really ready to do this. So this space became available in August of 2020. I signed the lease in September. And then it was like a rush to build out as quick as I could before the holidays,
Mhm.
because for any retail business, holidays are huge.
Mhm.
So I opened in November of 2020. Um, if you remember that first year of COVID, they had like zones. Like
Mhm.
the city of
Mhm.
Rochester went into
Mhm.
like the orange zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And they
It
hot
was right
spots and
after it was
places.
right after Halloween, that first year in 2020, where cases spiked again. So I
Mhm.
opened November 6th,
That's when I
and then
first
like
moved
2
here.
weeks
Mhm.
later, we were like in the orange zone in the city. So I was able to stay open at the time because I was retail, but almost all of the businesses around me had to close. Like restaurants were only allowed to do takeout, like
Mm-hmm.
salons and gyms and everything was forced to close again. And that was just like a crazy time to start a business.
Yeah.
But again, at that point, I was very invested in it. Like I wasn't, I'd signed a lease, I'd done this whole build out, like I was doing it.
Yeah, you're like, we're here now. We're doing
Yeah,
it.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a very, very shaky start, right? That first year, like, and again, the Rochester community is so supportive of small businesses. Like we really do have people who show up for small businesses
That's
here.
great.
Sure.
Awesome.
Sure.
That is like I can't express how grateful I am to people like Marquis who didn't know me from Adam, but like
Mhm.
kept coming here and buying candles. And like
Yeah.
that made all the difference. That first year, like it was like I was living off savings, like I
Mhm.
was not making money right away. And whenever you start a business, like you have to plan to not make money for a
Sure.
while.
Sure. It takes time to build it, build a brand,
Right,
representation,
yeah,
marketing,
yeah.
things of that nature.
But I
Sure.
kind of ended up taking an extra almost full year off. I left the bank in November of 2019. I didn't open Sense by Design until November of 2020. So I had a full year without a single
Wow.
sale, never sold a single candle before
No
I
money
opened,
coming
right?
in.
No money coming in,
Just
exactly.
dealing it out. Yeah.
Right. And spending a lot, right?
Mhm.
Like doing a build out. Like, I don't want to tell you how much they charge to like paint the walls in a space like this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything is expensive. But yeah, so in the beginning it was very, very shaky and there was no guarantee of any sort of success, right? Like I don't know when like the first time I looked around and was like, wow, this is actually gonna work. I still sometimes feel like I'm not sure if it's gonna work,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
there was a moment where I was like, I did it. There are a lot of moments when I feel like I look around and I'm like, wow, there are people here. There are people who care about this business. They're besides me, right? That don't
Mhm.
have any skin in this game that actually just like care that Sense
I
by
see.
That
Design
wanna
is
I
the
see
support
the
place
you and
that they
bag.
wanna
I
want
see
see
to
you
the,
win.
the
support.
bags here. People with
Yeah,
orders,
right,
like
yeah.
people care.
I
Well,
think
people want to support you and they want to see you win.
yeah,
We want to
right.
see you win. So
Yeah. I think one of the first like moments where I was like, "Oh my gosh, I made it," was like a friend, like one of my good friends told somebody, one of her coworkers was like, "Oh, I'm going to Sense by Design this weekend." And my friend was like, "Oh my God, I know her. And like she's my friend, like who owns it?" And like it was somebody who I didn't know, like a complete stranger who knew about Sense by Design. And it was like
Mm.
like it was like my friend's coworker. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like people know about Sense by
That's
Design. Like
great.
that's so
Yeah.
cool." Right.
No, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's
Or
a
like when
thing.
I get recognized like out at bars as like the candle lady.
The
Like
candle.
I never anticipated that.
The candle lady.
Right.
It's
But
like
like,
the cat
if
lady,
I'm
the
at a
candle
restaurant
lady.
or a bar or something, or at
Yeah.
Wegmans, like sometimes people will stop me and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're the candle lady." Like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
did that happen? Like that was something I'd never planned for.
That's so dope. That's
What
so dope.
But Rochester's small,
Yeah.
what would there's people out there that want to start their own business. They have a plan. They're going to work every day. They're going in their cube every day.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell them to give them that umph to consider, taking that chance?
I would say like you only got one life.
YOLO.
Mm.
How do you want to live it? Right?
Yes.
Like you get to choose how you live your life and build the life that you want to live. And owning a business is not easy. It's not something I would recommend to everybody. Like it
Right.
is a grind, it is hard work, it's an emotional roller coaster. And looking back, I don't know if I would have done it again. Like if I were to start over, I'm not sure if if I knew then what I knew now, I would have done things differently,
Sure.
Yes.
But like build the life that you want, right? Like every single day you make decisions about how you're going to live your life and choose the life that you want to live.
Absolutely.
And summarizing, I guess so we're huge hip hop fans.
Mhm.
And as I'm hearing you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is Mom Spaghetti, Eminem.
Okay.
Lose
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Palms are sweaty,
Yeah.
like he's like lose yourself in the music, the moment. You gotta never like almost like he's saying seize the moment,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mhm.
that's like hearing that like you only got one life, and then he says that you only got one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This
Mhm.
opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like that's what I get from that. So
Yeah. Right.
dope stuff. Seize the moment.
Right.
Seize the moment.
There was an exercise I did when I was like writing my business plan. And it was a podcast actually. And I've tried to look for it and I cannot find it for the life of me. I've looked a lot of times. But it was called like dream life, right?
Mhm.
Like build your dream life. Start off with what does your perfect day look like, right? Like what time do you wake up? What do you eat for breakfast? Where are you? Like
Mm.
where do you live?
Dream
Like
life.
what does your commute look like? Like what do you eat? Like every like small little
Mhm.
detail. You start there and then it's like what does your perfect week look like? What does your perfect month look like? What does your perfect year look like? Right? Like how often are you going on vacation? And then like you just start with like these really small things and then you build up like a picture of like what you want your dream life to look like. And then you kind of go backwards from there. Like, how much money do I need to make this life? Right.
Mm.
Because I feel like we get so bogged down in money. I mean, money's important.
Yes.
You got to
Sure.
pay
Yes.
your bills,
Sure.
but money's not real. Like that's a big thing that I've
Coming from a
taken
banker.
away.
Mhm.
That's a big since I've started the business, like that's like my motto. Like money's not real. And I know that comes from a place of privilege because like when you don't have money, money is very real.
Sure.
But money comes and goes and don't live your life trying to hold on to it.
Mm.
Like live your life doing the things that are important to you. And like the money's gonna come and go, right? You're gonna figure it out, you're gonna work it out. Don't think that you can't do it because of money.
Sure.
You mentioned that dream exercise to a
Hmm.
certain extent.
That's
Are you
heavy.
living?
That's
Are you
good.
living your dream?
Dreams change all the time,
Yeah.
right? They're
Mhm.
always evolving and changing. I think that, that's such a thing though, right? Like when you look back, you're like, I am living the dream that
At that
Christina
moment.
5 years ago
Yes.
had in
Yes.
a
Mhm.
lot of
Yes.
ways, right?
That's a good point.
And Christina now is trying to figure out what she wants her life to look like in 5 years.
Sure.
And I don't know the answer to that. It's always changing and evolving. And I think that that's, right now where I am in my business is I'm trying to look strategically at like, what do I want my life to look like? And where do I go from here? Because I work hard. I work a lot. I work a lot of hours. I'm here all the time and I generally love it.
You live here for the most part.
Yeah.
I
Like,
I can attest to that. Yeah.
yeah. Like I
Riding
generally
in when I'm
really
riding
love
in when I was
it.
riding in and seeing the studio and seeing it riding by, like, damn, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Handles up early. And again, like, off camera, you got the shelf here just loaded
Yeah.
with bags.
Yeah.
People constantly placing orders, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one. You mentioned dreaming before we get out of here. I know Freeman may have a couple more, but you mentioned, I think I was picking up the last candle that I ordered. You mentioned candles and blankets. The blanket is your go-to at home, like snuggling up with like a good blanket, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I thought of
Uh-huh.
dreams and blankets or whatever. Like,
Uh-huh.
what's the fascinate? Like what is the safe space? So like, most people, like some people suck their thumbs because have pacifier soothing, rubbing on their ears or whatever. I gather
Uh-huh.
the blanket and the
Uh-huh.
candle is it for you or whatever. What
Yes.
is that like moment, like that space? Is that your like I'm just home? It's just me, my blanket, the cat, dog, chill.
Yeah, right.
Well, like you're
Yeah.
most like comfortable at that point.
I just built myself a little like book nook.
Oh,
It's
Book
like
nook.
it's like not like that fancy. Like I have like a dream where I'll have like a fancier book nook
sure.
eventually. I got like it's literally like a toddler bed. Like it's a day bed situation. But I put it in my living room and it's just like in the corner. And I just have a million pillows on it and
There,
like a
there you
really
go.
soft blanket.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
made its own custom scent because
Mhm.
as you do,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
a
yeah,
custom
yeah.
scent for
That's how we
everything.
talked about it. The blanket has
Yeah.
its own custom scent.
Exactly.
Set the
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
Set the
Yeah.
vibe.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, just like in my little book nook with all my pillows and blankets. And yeah, if my dog wants to snuggle, that would make me really happy. He's not much of a snuggler, but like
Yeah.
sometimes he'll grace me with his presence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, just like reading and like relaxing,
Yeah.
after a long day, like that's like my happy place.
Dope
And
stuff.
like it for like relaxation, but like to be fair, I love Sense by Design. Like in a
Mhm.
lot of ways, this is my happy place too. Like
Mhm.
I am so like I said, I look around sometimes and I'm like, I don't know how I did this. Like this is a dream come true in so many levels, and I know that's such a cheesy thing to say,
Oh no.
but like
Not at
I
all.
I
Not at
look
all.
around and I'm like, this is so cool. Like
People.
Yeah. It's
like
like this is like I'm doing like I did like you
yeah,
did this.
yeah.
You did
think-
this.
I think-
I really do feel that, and I'm so so grateful, and I feel so lucky. And I know that a lot of people like tell me you shouldn't say you feel lucky, like you work hard for this. Like I do, I do work really hard to be here, but like I wouldn't have gotten here without a little
Well,
luck
that took a
too.
little luck. Again,
Mhm.
starting in COVID, that took a
Yeah,
little
like
luck. Yeah.
it's hard. It's a grind, and I do work really hard for sure. But like I am just so grateful that this is what I get to do every day.
That's dope.
Absolutely. But
That's dope.
couple more questions,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the Democrat Chronicle. You
Mhm.
quote you quoted your interview. You quoted,
Mm-hmm.
"I want to build the empire, but I've got to get the kingdom right first."
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Bars.
Yeah,
I
elaborate.
said that
Bars,
a
by
couple
the
of years
way.
ago, but like still so true.
Yes,
You're right.
yes,
Bars.
yes.
Hmm.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, to what I was just saying, like what do I want my life to look like, right? People always ask, like, am I gonna grow this business? Am I gonna open a location? Like, and there is a ton of opportunity for that. I think that I could totally open a second location, but I don't think it would be in Rochester. Rochester's a small city. Like, I don't
Mhm,
need a second candle bar to compete against this one.
mhm.
But
More overhead, things of that
exactly,
nature.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like double all my overhead. And honestly, like there are days where nobody comes in here and makes a candle, right?
Sure.
Like it doesn't
Sure.
happen a lot, but like there are some times where like I have payroll every single day, I have overhead every single day, and there might not be people who are making candles that day.
Sure.
Having a second location would be crazy
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
Rochester. Like I don't need to compete with myself like that. But I always thought I would open a second location in another city. I always said Ithaca would be my second location because that's where I went to
I
college.
wonder why.
That was
And
there you
it's a
go.
college town, and I just thought it would be perfect.
You gave us a beer. Guess where it's from?
Yeah. But like I can't imagine opening a second location and having to manage this times two. And it
Yeah.
would take me away
Yeah.
from the stuff that I really love, the candle making.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
operational stuff is not my forte. It's not what I love about entrepreneurship. It's important, but it's not what drives me. It's not what I
A necessary
enjoy.
evil. Right.
Um, so yeah, right now I'm just really focused on getting the kingdom right. And once I get the kingdom right, like maybe I can grow an empire. But like, what do I want my life to look like? And what does the day to day of it look like? Like having an empire sounds cool until you got employees.
Mhm.
Sure.
Like love my employees, y'all. No, my employees are incredible.
But the responsibility of it, like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pressure, and those are things
Exactly.
that you have to think about and
Yeah.
consider. You never
Right.
know. Again, another COVID comes around or what have you. It's like you're gonna feel like crap if you got to start laying people off, and like these are people and things that you're responsible for.
Right.
So no,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. One of the things you just said, I love and live by that is like if you did open another spot, it becomes essentially it becomes work because you enjoy this part of it, right? And that's one of the things that I live by, and this and my business or whatever. Like I tell Freeman all the time, like I do photography if no one paid me for it. Like I love it that much,
Yeah.
right? And I always said to myself, once it
Yeah.
becomes work, I don't want to do it anymore.
Hmm.
It feels like work, I don't want to do it anymore because you should be able to do what you love, have fun with it, and the money comes from that, right? So again, that's speaking
Okay, but you
coming from
can't
a
say you
place of
love
privilege.
100% about your job. There are things about your job that you probably don't like, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Right?
absolutely.
Like it's not like 100%. Like you can do photography
Mhm.
because you're passionate about it and you enjoy that part of it. But like, I mean, like for me, it's like QuickBooks. Like I hate doing my QuickBooks,
Oh,
right? Like,
absolutely. So so like the behind the scenes, the paperwork, those things
mhm,
or whatever.
mhm.
Sometimes clients are annoying. They'll never really know that they're annoying because that's a part of customer service.
Right,
But
Right?
right.
that
Yeah,
side of
yeah,
things or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and like no, I don't love that. But when I'm in it, I'm like in the zone, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? So like just that part when it's just me and the camera and the creating.
Right. Yeah.
That's the part that I'm just like spaced out and zoned in on. So
Hmm.
dope stuff, dope stuff.
Cool.
What else you got for me?
Last two questions are what we usually end with. What inspires you? What is your why?
Mm, what is your why?
I talked about this a little in the beginning. Like, I wanted to create a space where people wanted to be.
Mhm.
I
Hmm.
wanted to create a space where people wanted to hang out, to come, to be creative, to spend time with their friends and their family. Like, I feel so lucky that people want to come here and celebrate their birthdays, or we do tons of like bachelorette parties or team building
Hmm.
activities,
Hmm.
right? Like creating a space where people feel welcome and they want to hang out and they enjoy being was one of my main goals in
Sure.
opening Sense by Design. um so I think that's really inspiring to see people come together. I'm a very social person, I'm a very outgoing person, I
Mhm.
love being around people.
That sense of community.
Yeah,
We're building.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like community is so important to me. I feel like in a lot of ways, like I get to throw a party every day and like people come to it or they don't. But like usually people come to it and
By
like
what's
that's really
playing on the
cool.
playlist, it's a party.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
party in
Like
Yeah.
it's
here.
just like you get to come make a candle and hang out and have a drink or not, whatever.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I really love that sense of it. Like that community, that space where people just want to like be and hang out is really cool to me.
It's a vibe. The space, like if like we do these like one word exercises. Like we had one yesterday on the pod, and like if someone was to say to me, give me one word to describe Sense by Design, I would say vibe,
Aw.
flat out. It's a vibe.
I agree.
It's definitely a vibe from the create your own candle, tons of options sitting here behind us, accessories. Some of the shit I bought in here, like the candle covers and clips and snips and things. I'm like, oh,
You
fuck,
got
like, and I
we
thought it
got
was senseless, but I'm like, no, it makes sense. Like they like
yeah, we got
centering
you
the wick and making
covered.
the keeping the wick in the center of the candle so it burns evenly, and
Yeah.
Candle care is
trimming and yeah,
important.
candle care. I didn't even know
Candle
that was a
Uh-huh.
thing. Candle care. Like
Uh-huh.
she's like, oh yeah, you got to
Uh-huh.
trim the wick. So ideally you want to be this low, and I'm like,
Helps with the smoke, right?
Yeah,
dude,
reduce
yeah,
the smoke and set.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Also helps your candle burn longer.
Yeah. So when
Mm.
I would go to Yankee Candle or whatever, I'm like, this is a ripoff. You're just trying to sell me. But coming in here and talking to you or whatever, I'm like, oh yes, please sell me those scissors for my
You know,
wick.
It trusts
You know
you
what I
because
mean?
it's
Like,
coming from you, and you do this for a living. So I'll take
yeah,
your
well,
word
and I
for
know
it.
you're not just trying like here, upgrade, put nitrogen in your tires
no,
because it's gonna
literally,
feel
I'm
better.
not. I like kind of hate sales, honestly. Like I was in banking and I was in
Yeah, so
sales, but like
you get it.
I
Yeah.
kind of hate sales. Like, yes, I do this to make money overall. That is the goal. But like that's not like my number one priority. Like I am not trying to make as much money as I can in this business.
Hmm.
Right. Like if you tell me that like you can't afford to buy something here, like I'll tell you you could get it cheaper somewhere else.
Hmm.
Hmm.
If it's the same quality item, right? Like
Sure.
I'm not like trying to rip you off, right? Like, and I'm not Amazon, right? And if I'm competing with Amazon, like you're gonna be able to get a cheaper wick trimmer on Amazon than you
Sure.
are at Sense by Design for
That's why we
sure.
don't price match Amazon here.
Yeah. But like there's, if you can afford to support a small business and you want to be here and shop here,
You should do.
and I appreciate every single dollar that people spend
It's
here.
bespoke. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I think are we up to the last one?
Last one. You can.
Last question, Christina. We end this with all of our guests. What would you tell a young Christina? Based on the space
Oh
and the place that you're in life right now or whatever, what would you tell that out of high school, going to college, just coming out of college, Christina?
gosh. Um I mean, like, I feel like I would say, like, enjoy the ride. Like, it's ups and downs, and it makes you who you are, and there's gonna be good times and bad times, but you gotta roll with them all.
She's
Mm.
a full say la vie vibe. Like
Hey.
just, you only got one life. Enjoy the
That's
ride.
a say la vie vibe. Yeah.
Right. I love it.
Well, we
I love it.
again we appreciate your time. This is Women's History Month, and you are part of history.
Yes.
History.
So
Yes, yes.
we really appreciate it.
Herstory. Did you peep that?
Yeah,
shit?
I saw. Yeah,
Herstory.
yeah,
like that.
That's very dope.
Herstory.
That's very dope.
Dope vibes. Well, yes. Again, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to sit down with you. Again, we've been supporting. We'll continue to support. Love the brand. Love the business. Love everything you have going on here. Congratulations on the success. More success to come. You're
Yeah.
what 5+ years
It'll
in?
be 5 years in
It'll be
November.
5 years in
Mm.
November.
Mhm.
Constantly grinding, growing. I love it. I love to see you, you win. The great vibes here as far as, your mimosas. If you want to come in, you can have a cocktail, you can make a candle, get some cool
Have a good
accessories,
time. Yeah.
tons of cool options back here, whatever. The music is always
Always
a
popping.
vibe. And another thing to speak to really quick, you're always supporting local artists, so they can, almost like a consignment their art here and get ready,
Yeah.
potentially, sell it. So it's almost like you're creating other opportunities to speak into that community aspect or whatever. So
Exactly. Yeah.
again, that's why Sense by Design is a full vibe or whatever. We'll be sure to drop all of the links in the description as far as websites, social handles, things of that nature. How people can get in touch with you,
Yeah.
contact you, reach out, things of that nature. As you can see here, guys, there's tons and tons of fragrances and
Yep,
things that you
100
can.
or so cents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We
100
got
plus
100
fragrances.
cents. We switch them out seasonally, so we
Mhm.
always have new stuff in. And yeah, you can create your own custom scent. You can buy the stuff we have pre-made.
Hmm.
Nice.
Tons of options here. So be sure to go to sensebydesign.com. Check them out. It's the same handle, Sense by Design on Instagram. Any other socials I'm missing?
We got them
Twitter, things of that
all. I
nature?
don't have a Twitter. I have a TikTok and a Facebook
Yeah,
and an
Sense by Designs.
Instagram.
You can't
Sense by
miss them.
Design Candlebar.
Right.
And it's got to be the one in Rochester, New York, black background, white writing. That's
Yep.
Sense by
That's
that's the
it.
Sense by
That's
Design you
it.
find and you look
Yep.
for whatever. So yeah, we'll drop all those contacts and links in the bio, and be sure to stick around. We have a quick happy hour blitz of Taylor Swift trivia on happy hour
I'm
with
scared,
Christina
y'all.
this
scared.
time.
I'm scared. I'm
yeah.
gonna disappoint the Swifties.
Yeah, no. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So yeah, on that note, thank you again for letting us, I was gonna say dropping by, but thank you for allowing us to drop
Yeah,
by.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Thank
kick it
you.
with you,
Crash
Thank
Christina.
you.
the
I
uh,
appreciate
crash the
Yeah,
I
store.
yeah.
appreciate your time. I appreciate being here.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know y'all. Thank you for doing
Absolutely.
this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All
And
right.
on that note, thank you again, Christina. And
This
I'm
is-
one half of your host, Marky. This is Free Mel.
I'm me. This is you.
This is you.
All right.
Yeah, we screwed that up.
Hey, but we are Water from the Roc.
We had Water from the Roc podcast.
Thank you.
We'll catch you guys next time. Take it easy.